Hello, I'm Tony DeJulian for the IGFA School of Sport Fishing. And today we're going to discuss the simplest way to rig a circle hook ballyhoo. There are very few supplies needed for this rig. You're going to need to pre-rig a leader and hook. In this case, I have a 60-pound monofilament leader crimped to a 6/0 circle hook. And you can choose to snell your hook, crimp your hook, tie a knot. It's a personal preference. And the size of the leader and the hook is going to be directly related to the size of the tackle and the bait you're rigging. The next thing you're going to need is you're going to need a piece of copper wire. I like to have a little bit longer piece of copper wire, so when you're buying copper wire, try to buy the longer copper wire. And the last thing you're going to need is a ballyhoo. I've pushed all the waste product out of the ballyhoo. I've broken the skin away from the backbone a little bit, and I've given it a little bit of a bend to make sure that it's nice and flexible so that when it's in the water it looks as natural as possible. The first step is to take your copper wire, and in one end of the copper wire you want to form a very small loop, and you want to twist the loop into the copper wire. Just like so. It's a good way to practice your haywire twist for those of you who are having trouble with the haywire twist. And so I have a little piece of wire here with a loop twisted in one end of it. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ballyhoo and I'm going to break the bill off about halfway. Now, I want to make sure that when I break this bill off, I break it by pulling the bill down towards the bottom of the ballyhoo. And you'll see in a second, when I break this, that a small piece of skin is going to come off with the bill. Now, what that does is that it makes a little channel under the bill so that my wire will eventually be able to tuck up under there very nicely. The next step is I'm going to take the tag end, that is the end without the loop in it, and I'm going to go up from the bottom of the ballyhoo's lower jaw, up through the little soft spot that's right on the top of every ballyhoo's upper jaw, just like so. And I'm going to pull that all the way up until I can bend it and have the loop that I put in the copper wire protruding just slightly in front of the bill of the ballyhoo. The next step, I'm going to begin to wrap this wire around the ballyhoo, and I'm going to come around once, and I'm going to go through the eye socket, and then I'm going to make sure that I snug that down. Again, I want to make sure that that loop is sticking right out the front. I'm going to pull it down and snug it tight. Then I'm going to continue on by taking the wire, and I'm going to go behind both of the gill plates on the ballyhoo. One, and then the other one, two. Now I'm going to continue with the wire, and I'm going to go back through the eye socket again. And again, I'm going to make sure everything is nice and snug. And if you look down the bottom, you can see that everything's even with the copper wire. And then I'm simply going to take that copper wire, and I'm going to begin to wrap it up the bill on top of the loop that I created in the wire earlier. Just like so. Now my ballyhoo is rigged and ready to go. I simply have to take my pre-rigged leader and hook, and I will take the end of the hook and I will insert it into the loop of the copper wire. And then I'm going to twist it a couple of times just to make sure that that loop is small enough so that the hook can't come off. And there you have the simplest way to rig a circle hook ballyhoo.